All right, welcome to the June 3rd, 2021 Town of Concord Historic Districts Commission meeting. The meeting is being called to order at 7 p.m. and you've just heard we're being recorded. We will be reviewing one continued public hearing and we have 4 new applications to look at tonight, as well as some additional business at the end of the meeting. Let me do a quick roll call of commissioners. Maybe just if I call your name, say aye. Abby?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Did I get everybody? Yes. All right, thank you all. All right, so let me finish my little speech here. We're conducting the meeting online in accordance with the soon to expire Commonwealth of Mass Executive Order suspending certain provisions of open meeting law. The public may access this call through both telephone and video. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions and provide public comment on applications and discussions following the petitioner's presentation and questions from the commission. To ask questions, please raise your hand using the participant function or wave and we'll catch you. Or if you're on the phone, use *9, that will raise your hand. Our host, Heather, will mute microphones of everyone who's not speaking. If that doesn't happen, could you please just do that yourself, just in case sometimes we get background noise. And I don't think we need to turn off video. We've had bandwidth issues in the past. I'll call on each commissioner for comments on the application that's presented. We'll discuss, then we'll open the meeting for public comment. Once there are no more public comments, we'll bring it back to the commission for a motion to either approve, continue, approve with conditions, or disapprove. We'll have a second and a roll call vote. And then once the commission has acted on an application, the petitioner is free to leave the meeting, although it's always entertaining to stay. So again, welcome, and it's nice to see you all. So why don't we get right into it?
Sorry,
unless
Peter.
Heather, yes, Abby.
Sorry, point of order. Since Luis isn't here tonight, do you want to designate the 5th voting commissioner?
That is an excellent point. So the voting commissioners this evening will be, since you just volunteered yourself, Abby, it will be myself, Abigail, Paul, Nia, and Melinda. How's that? That's
Great.
okay. Are you all right to vote, Abby? All right. So Heather, are we all okay? Good to go? Okay, so no changes. So we're going to welcome back Suen and Liam, and we had a lovely tour this morning. Thank you again of your property at 1 Sudbury Road. This is in the Main Street Historic District, and this is a renovation to the existing home, including replacement windows. I'm just going to read the list. New paint, removal of skylights, construct a new family room, a screen porch, 2-car garage and mudroom additions, new lighting and gutters, new driveway, stone wall, retaining walls, pathway, greenhouse fencing, and terrace with associated grading. How's that? Oh, somebody is, let's see, I'm hearing some background noise. All right. So I see also our architects are here. Are they here? I see Mike and Jake. Yes? Thank you again. And thank you again for meeting us on the site this morning. I realized the tour was a slight bit of cat herding, but that's how those tours sometimes go. So thank you for being patient with us. I think the commissioners, everyone here was on the tour this morning. So may I ask, I know some new drawings were submitted. May I ask you all to just walk us through those and then we'll discuss the project. So I'm not sure who wants to present.
Sure, I'll share my screen here.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, yeah, so the site visit was great today. I hope we were able to clarify and answer everybody's questions while we were on site. I'm just going to quickly kind of run through a couple of quick drawing updates that we made since our last hearing. One of which was discussed a little bit on site this morning, in that we staked out an area behind the proposed garage, 7 feet deep, and inset within the width of the garage. So it's not visible or not protruding as you look at the garage from the front. So this is one update, a small kind of additional area at the back of the garage that we are proposing. The other thing we looked at since our first hearing is we really, heard the commission's feedback and concerns about the mudroom connector. It seemed like there was a lot of discussion about that. And so we took another look at what that mudroom looks like. And so if you can see from the plan here, before this mudroom was sort of an all glass mudroom connector between the garage and the existing house. And we've narrowed it down to sort of one door on either side. And I'm going to flip to an elevation here that'll start to show what that looks like. So this was something we went back, we really wanted to, we listened to what everybody said, and we really wanted to rethink this piece. So you can see in this partial elevation here, we've gone down to just a single door, more traditional looking from the exterior. There's a vision panel up above. The lower panel, solid raised panel, would match the existing front entry door. And then we've added 2 wall sconces to either side of this. So that gives you the full view of what that looks like. And then what you start to see from the front elevation, because of the bay that sticks out from the front here, is you start to get a partial view of that. The other thing, since last time we hadn't looked at it, but we had discussed it in the previous hearing and discussed it a little bit today, was the addition of adding glass to the existing front entry doors. So we would replace the larger top panels of both of those doors, or propose to replace both of those solid panels with glass panels. Really, from an architectural standpoint, those are the only modifications we've really made. We did also submit an update to include these additional wall sconce light fixtures at the mudroom entry, and we slightly changed the specification for the entry pendant here, which if we wanted to, I can flip to those and show those. We did have, so just kind of flipping through, we are showing here the rear elevation just for reference purposes. So you can sort of see that little 1-story addition being proposed off the back is completely inset within the overall width of the garage. And then a side view sort of just showing that it's a low, flat pitched copper roof just coming off the back there. Overall, the rest of the garage proportions, height, width, depth, have not changed. No additional changes here. And then some small updates on the landscape plan, which I'll quickly, not even updates. So we talked a little bit about the landscape today, and I know there were some questions regarding it, but I wanted to show a view from Tom Lee, the landscape architect, showing the proposed stone wall at the front of the property. So we visualized what that could potentially look like running across the front of the property. And so really, we, like I said, we appreciated the site visit and everybody's thoughtful questions today, and be happy to answer any more and get everybody's feedback.
Thank you, Mike. It's exciting. This is a very exciting project. It's great to see the design coming along. I know we're all eager to see this house reinvigorated with life. Let me just go around. I think that's about all I needed to see. Let me go around to the commission and see what people think from the site visit and the presentation just now. Let me pick on you in order. Abby, I'm going to pick on you first.
Okay. So thank you for the site visit this morning. It was really helpful and clarifying. I want to start by saying, I think overall, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on all of my questions and concerns and nitpicking things. So I'm going to sound negative, but my overall impression of the project is that it's fantastic. that we have wonderful stewards for this house. It's been long neglected. It's an incredibly important house. It's very prominent in town. So I'm really pleased. I think it's a really beautiful project. So I'm going to nitpick it because it's really important, given its location, given its prominence, and given that it's, I think you're headed in just a terrific direction. So a lot of my questions are just clarification questions. The driveway, I just want to confirm. So it's going to be asphalt, but with a chip seal top, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And in the drawings, there's granite curbing along both sides. And today there was some question as to whether the granite curbing would extend the whole way. What's the plan for the granite curbing?
It would extend the length of the driveway.
Extends the length of the driveway. Okay, so that side there, and then does it extend along the other side as well? Okay.
There's some along the side of the house. Whatever we salvage, we'll reuse.
Okay. The additional parking areas, what is the material for those? I noticed there was a kind of a parking pull-off right there. Yes.
That would be the same granite curbing, but laid on the flat and with gravel joints.
Okay. In terms of the increase in non-permeable surface, how much larger is the proposed? Because right now it's a dirt driveway, and usually, we're really reluctant to pave dirt driveways even in the center, but we've allowed it in the past with the chip seal to at least kind of temper the appearance of the non-permeable surface. But how much larger with the parking areas and the driveway? How much larger is that space?
The driveway will be, I believe, the same width, but the parking area at the end, the current all dirt parking area will be partially occupied by the new addition, the garage, so it would be reduced.
Okay.
I actually don't know the exact square footage, but right now it reaches essentially close to the back of the garage.
Okay.
The dirt is just not plowable, I guess, in the winter.
No, that's fine. I just always like to have an understanding of, are we increasing or decreasing space? Sure. And as long as there's a chip seal on it, I'm fine with it. I don't like to see kind of black tarmac driveways. The curbing path in the front, is that likewise the granite?
It's likely stone, but in terms of type of stone, whether it's bluestone or granite, we haven't gone that far yet to determine.
Okay. Moving around behind the garage, there's a dog enclosure noted. There's questions as to whether that's visible, but is that a fencing structure or is that?
Yes, it would be probably wood posts with a mesh fence that is pretty transparent, and it's fully behind the garage.
Yeah, no, I had a question as to whether that was even visible, but I just hadn't seen it in the renderings. So now continuing all the way to the back of the property, today it was interesting to see with the removal of the kind of that area of trees and canopy there and the pine trees and the maple trees. And given, I think the proposed greenhouse in the very rear of the property is going to be visible from the public way. Even though it's tucked all the way back, I think if you're on Sudbury Road towards the library, I think that structure is going to be visible. I'm curious as to what other commissioners think, but with the removal of all those trees, that property really opens up, and the removal of the privet hedge. So other commissioners agree that that would be visible, and I strongly think it will be. We would need to see drawings and plans submitted for that if that's something that you're intending to move forward with. That's just, I just wanted to flag that. And then continuing around the property, I'm obviously focused, as I said, I have no issues with most of what's happening on the house. It's really the hardscape plan that I'm concerned with. So the retaining wall and the front wall, the front stone wall, I saw that the rendering today is helpful. You had also included in the original submission a photograph of yes. So that gives me significant pause. I think, our guidelines are kind of oddly specific when it comes to stone walls, which is good, because usually our guidelines are so vague as to not be helpful. But this reads to me quite modern and quite squared off. The stone walls that we typically see, we typically don't see kind of rambling stone walls in the Main Street district. We see them along Monument. We see them in other districts. Usually in the Main Street district, when we're talking about a public way facing fence or wall, it's usually a granite base or granite post with either wood picket or iron picket. And there's a number of examples of those up and down Main Street. So a stone wall in the front of the property would be a bit unusual in the Main Street district. This particular design to me doesn't really adhere to the guidelines in terms of the type and size of stone. It's very specific. I had to read them today to be sure. It says that top stones can't be less than, I think, 5 inches, and you need to have X percentage of the stones need to be 1 foot square or larger. And there's a lot to it that makes them look more rustic, I think, and less manufactured. So my concern with the stone wall is that it's not appropriate to both the house and the location. So something either in a different style, or what would, I think, really be most appropriate would be a different type of fencing along the public way. Obviously, a retaining wall is a retaining wall and needs to be built differently. I'm curious to see what other commissioners think. That's my primary feedback, and that becomes very prominent given the location of the property, given the removal of the privet hedge and the tree canopy there. That property really opens up, and that stone wall will become very visible and a real focal point. So I would say right now my biggest hesitation is the stone wall. The garage, I think, is great. I like the increase in height. The connector piece, that's an excellent solution in my mind. I was really opposed to it initially. I think this new design really works well. All the rest of it, I don't have an issue with. I think it's going to be beautiful. But I'm curious to see what other commissioners feel about the retaining wall and the front stone wall in particular. So that was my very lengthy, very nitpicky diatribe. So I really do like it.
Actually, that was a short for you, Abby. That was actually shortish input. So thank you. No, thank you. All right, let me just go around the horn. Catherine, you're next on my screen.
So I agree fundamentally with basically everything Abby just said. I would just add that focusing first on the garage and the bridging structure, I too was very, very happy with the changes. I think it just looks much more harmonious. I really like the more traditional approach to the bridging element. And honestly, initially, I felt that the garage structure looked a little squat compared to the house. And I think the proportions, it's greatly improved now. So I was very happy to see that. Although the stone wall, to Abby's point, is certainly attractive and sort of a more modern interpretation of a non-mortared stone wall that we see a lot. I agree. I think that's going to be a very visual and very sort of present element. And I think we should look carefully at how that is approached. So I too think maybe rethinking that a bit would be beneficial here. Perhaps more of the, again, non-mortared, but more of the bolder element stone wall. But again, I think there are a couple of different approaches that might be just a little more harmonious and in keeping with what we would expect to see in this area. But otherwise, I think it's a magnificent building. It's beautiful. I think, you know, the overall project is great. So that's it.
Thank you, Catherine. I do want to point out that right across the street, to speak on behalf of inconsistency, is that very strange cast concrete something with stones pressed into it, and that is definitely, that wall should not be repeated anywhere.
Right.
All right, thank you, Catherine. Nia, you are next. Oh, but there you go. There you go.
Yes, I echo what my two previous commissioners have said. I think this is a fantastic project. The proposed garage and connector that has worked through, you know, some changes are terrific, totally appropriate now in terms of design, scale, massing, and detailing. So I think that's a home run. I would agree that I think the stone wall, given its length and its location, is I think the stylized version is inappropriate for that location. I would love to see some other ideas along the lines of what Abby suggested. I personally would prefer to see the front door maintained as is. I think it is absolutely fabulous. I would hate to put glass panels in that. I will defer to Dennis, who's our window Nazi, to, you know, comment.
Window police officer.
Sorry, sorry, strike that from the record. If Dennis would comment on the windows, so I'll leave that to him. I agree with Abby, the right side of the house now, I totally understand why you want to take down the pines and the invasive Norway maples. So that makes sense, even though it is going to hugely change that side in terms of visibility. I am concerned about the retaining wall and the, you know, the 4-foot grade change in the back. I think that is going to be visible again, as Abby said, if you're moving down towards the library, because that in order to access the back lot, a lot of those trees are going to come out to make way for the driveway to the right of your boundary there. So I think that is going to be visible, and generally our guidelines are very negative about grade changes to that degree. So I am concerned about that. I mean, I understand that from the front, you're just going to see the retaining wall, but I think from the side, you're going to see that whole berm. I did have one question about the dog enclosure. I'm looking on my laptop at the landscape plan, so my eyes may deceive me, but it looked to me as if to the left of the garage, there is a stretch of fencing that would be visible from the left edge of the garage to the property line. Is that correct, or am I misreading that?
Actually, yes, you are correct.
Okay, so then we do need to know exactly what that fence is going to be, because that will be visible. I think back to the berm and the retaining wall, I know you have plans, and they're not specific yet, about ornamental trees as well as deciduous trees. I'm wondering if there are other screening options that would be more at eye level from the street that might help soften that if you wanted to go ahead. But I'm just concerned about that look from the side. Other than that, I think that I'm fine with the lighting. I would want to know specifically, as Abby said, what that pathway is going to be, but maybe that's something you come back to us in the future to firm that up. Because I know you were also talking about mailbox, et cetera. So there may be things that need to be tidied up at another time, at a future date, but we would want to have specific information on that pathway. So that's it.
Thank you, Nia. Tom, by the way, I love the gesture of the pathway. It's a lovely plan gesture.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you, Nia. Melinda, you're next in the rotation here. What do you say?
Okay, so you've gotten enough accolades. I'm not going to tell you how perfect this house is going to end up looking. I'm just going to tell you the things that I don't agree with or have an issue with. The front door, I was shocked actually to hear that you wanted to put glass in that. That wasn't mentioned before. I would have thought you would want a little privacy, but I just like the look of what's been there. I think it's more in keeping with the house. It's not to say that there are historic homes that do have glass front doors, but I would prefer to see the original door kept. The stone wall honestly, it reminds me of something I'd see in New Canaan, Connecticut. I don't think it, with newer homes, I don't think it is appropriate there, but everybody else has weighed in, so I think that's a given. I would like to see, I loved your rendering of the stone wall, but you stopped right in front of the house. You didn't give us the side view. And I would like to see the side view, because then we would see your wall that you're going to bring out there. And we'd also see if you're going to see the structure in the back. You could do that, I think, probably pretty easily. And it would give us, I just think it would be helpful to have that view because the public will see that. There's no question. If you're 10 or 15 feet out on the right-hand side, you'll be able to see down the whole stretch of property there. And I think it would be nice to see what the trees and so forth would look like. I guess you're going to put a lot of things in. And lastly, the dog fence, obviously we would like to see the size and et cetera. I'm just really sorry to see that great big tree go because of a dog fence. And if you could find another little spot to put that, I think keeping that tree would actually be fabulous, since you're taking so many other big ones down, but maybe that just doesn't fit in with your plans. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Melinda. Dennis, you are next. You gotta unmute yourself though. There you go.
A lot of things that were already that I wanted to say were already said, so I won't dwell on them. And this is a great project, and I think it's moving along very, very well. I need to know more about the windows.
Dennis is our window champion.
Yeah. I think original windows need to be saved. I sent something to Peter this afternoon on original storm windows. So the storm windows on that house may be original, but I don't know enough about it, and I need more research. In my mind, you need to do more research before I'd approve that. I agree with the front door that I can't imagine putting glass panels in that door. A solution, by the way, is to put a glass paneled door behind it or in front of it, but probably behind it, because we like the way the door looks. And you just open the door and have clear glass coming in. The British do that all the time. You also plan to paint that, and I think we need a discussion about the paint colors. I'm not sure I'm up to snuff on what the samples look like and where they are. And Peter, are they part of this application right now?
They are, yes. So we could probably look at those.
So we need to take a look at those. And I didn't need to know more about whether the door was painted or not. The fact that it's natural could be original, but I really do not know. One other thing I would say is, and I don't know if this is something you'd want to do, the front of the mudroom looks great. I think that's wonderful. But you could keep glass at the back because it's in a dark alley if you want to. There's no reason we can't see the back. And if you wanted to keep that glass, I think it would be fine. I don't understand why you want to put a wall in and take the privet hedge out. If you could explain that to me, that would be great. I think the privet hedge looks great. I would suggest to you, if you need more formality, that you could put breaks in that hedge with maybe posts and a gate. That's done all the time, and it was very much done in Victorian times. So you could save the hedge and then put some kind of architecture in the midst of it. Other than that, I'm not as concerned as others are about the grade change in the back, even though I understand that our rules say differently. I think the rest of it I don't really have any problems with.
Thank you, Dennis. Heather, is there a way to look at the paint? I don't remember if the paint chips are in the original application packet.
It should have been. We have 3 colors selected.
Okay. There they are. Okay, I'm looking. Maybe we can pull those up in a minute. All right, Paul, I haven't heard from you yet.
Yeah, first of all, I have a question about the garage. I think there was an indication there is something, a room or whatever, behind the garage bays themselves, or maybe upstairs. What else is in the garage building proposed? Are there sleeping quarters? Are there, what else is going on in the garage?
So I'm just trying to bring the plan back up. So the idea for the garage would be that there would be a future studio in the back there. So that small 1-story piece would basically give you a very small kitchenette, bathroom. And then the upper garage area would be a potential living bedroom or home office. Sort of a workspace.
Or an artist studio.
Yeah, in effect, it's an apartment or a small apartment. Would that be fair? You can sleep there, you can cook there, or you could live there in theory.
Yes.
Okay. All right, I don't know if that raises other questions with others. But anyway, I don't want to spend too much time on this. With respect to the front door, I, for one, understand the importance of changing that to glass just in terms of lighting. I mean, having owned an historic house for many, many years, lighting becomes so critical and isn't always easy to find in an older home. So I really empathize with the change. I can't imagine that people at the street are going to balk at anything because there's glass there rather than an original door. So I'm supportive of that change if that's something the owners want. With respect to the stone wall, I certainly agree that it has a contemporary feel, and I think as pictured, although we can't see the texture, we don't know about the grouting, if any, it does seem inconsistent with the guidelines. But I, for one, wouldn't demand something like fieldstone, rough fieldstone, as we would see in a farm field or in a pasture. I think there are some compromises there that could define it beautifully, but would be a little less slick, a little less suburban, and a little more consistent with the last century or 2 centuries ago, maybe is where we are now. So I think you could do some things with that wouldn't defeat the purposes for which you've designed this one that will certainly be fine with me. I'm also not distressed about the retaining wall. I think it's important to give the family some outdoor living space. I think there are very good reasons to do that. And while potentially visible, I agree with the point that we need an elevation that shows a little more detail about that. But in principle, I certainly would not be opposed to the retaining wall, nor the steps down and those defining aspects of that. So those are my comments. Overall, good project, and anxious to see how it moves on here.
All right, thank you, Paul. Let's see, Heather, would you mind pulling up the little paint color chips? There are just 3 colors. There's a white, a gray, and a blue. And I think it's page 27 of the original app. There it is, right there. So there, that is the paint scheme. And I think, Mike, you told us this morning that basically the field will be pure white, the trim will be gray. And then you're thinking of accent colors. You mentioned the front door. There might be other places where the blue will go.
Yeah, the blue would really just be limited to the existing front entry door and the new mudroom door.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So let me also just mention that we have, I know the commission is aware of this in other projects. In fact, just recently, in terms of windows, we've asked the homeowner to restore windows that are visible from the public way, usually the front, and then, you know, do what has to be done with Marvin replacement windows and what have you outside that view. And that's to both honor the sort of original fabric of the house and acknowledge also that it's the 21st century and sometimes restoration is not always the answer, although I think cost wise it's about the same, we've seen anecdotally at least. All right, I think I have no real other useful things to add other than to actually, I think we do want to see drawings of the greenhouse. I don't know if those are even available. I guess we can't really look at them tonight. They have to formally be submitted. So
yeah, there's no drawings for that yet.
Okay.
I do have a question related to your comment you just made about the restoration of windows versus replacement. Is that just sort of just as you look at that front elevation, or, you know, do you consider that as you can, because you have potentially two side elevations that are at least partially visible from the public way? Do those factor in? How does that work? Because you potentially get into a place where you almost end up having to restore 3/4 of the windows of the house, right? Other than the rear elevation.
And I think, and I can, maybe I'm speaking for Dennis out of turn here. I think what we appreciate is the effort to try and restore the windows, because we actually don't even know. I think you pointed out, we don't know which are original or even what original means. Is it original to the first construction or the 20th century additions? But I think, you know, choosing a moment in time and then restoring to that period. I think what it is maybe, and I'll sort of say this maybe extemporaneously, but we've seen a couple of projects recently, homes of similar vintage, where all the windows were replaced, and it does suddenly look it's a little bit jarring, only because you go from one texture to it's a very contemporary line, and everything is, you know, it doesn't look like an original window anymore, and it's a little odd. So anyway, that's what we're sort of eager to try to preserve, is as much historic fabric as possible. So it's not hard and fast, but that's the intent. Did I say that right, Dennis?
You did. I think we need to preserve as much fabric as possible. And I know there are concerns about insulation and noise and all kinds of things, safety. but there is a difference in replacing the windows. And as we know from current research, there's a difference in window glass from contemporary glass to glass of a certain period. I just don't have enough information. I mean, they could be all modern windows for all I know. I just don't know enough about the age of those windows to offer my own critique or opinion.
Yeah, well, we can probably say the Oculus windows are not Marvin replacement windows.
I think you're right on that.
We're safe there. All right.
We'll certainly do our due diligence and
thank you, Mike.
Come back with the appropriate information to determine that.
Okay, terrific. All right, I think we've heard from all the commissioners. So let me do this. Let me open it up to public comment, and then we'll bring it back in for one more round of discussion and see where we go. So is there any public comment on the proposal for work to be done at 1 Sudbury Road? I will not read the whole application again. I'm just going to look for raised hands. I know we have a couple of neighbors and friends in the audience here, so I'm just going to wait a moment. Heather, do you see any hands raised? Hands, let me just look on my thing here. Oh. Okay. All right, so no public comment at the moment. Let's bring it back into the commission. So let me try to summarize here. I think, and I think this may be a little bit of a dialogue this evening, if that's all right with the design team. Most of the comments, my senses, are about the landscape features, the stone wall, the greenhouse, the retaining wall and steps. So I think we may have a few more questions about that. The front door, I haven't rendered my opinion. I really don't have a super strong opinion. What my gut tells me is it would be fine to put glass in, but with the original finish, not to paint the door. That's just my instinct tells me that's the sort of a compromise. I have no issue with paint colors, and I think I've already said my 2 cents on windows. So let me ask this to the design team: are there, given what we've all just fed back to you, do you have any sort of response to that other than what we've already talked about, Mike? Like, what do you think of our comments about the stone wall? And maybe this is a question, Tom, for you.
I think in terms of the style of wall, if we could talk to our client about this further. I mean, I think the wall actually opens up the view to the house versus the privet hedge. Mm-hmm. The privet hedge is actually, maybe fine in some areas, but there's some ratty areas too. Privet is a plant that is easily weedy if you don't, it's not taken care of, and it's been abandoned for a while. So we actually thought the stone wall in general, the lowness of it, really opens up views to the
house. All right, let me ask about the front door. Let me ask the architects, what do you think of our feedback there? I mean, I'm looking at the architects just because you're on my screen right here. So
as far as the front door, I mean, we definitely want to push for trying to get to have the glass added to the doors approved. I think between the cupboard entry there and there being no other windows within that entry foyer, it really does become sort of a dark space. And I think the glass panels in those upper panels of those doors would really go a long way to improving the interior experience as you enter the house there. I think if leaving the doors a natural finish, but being able to put the glass into those panels were a condition of the approval, I think that's something we would certainly consider. We're not beholding ourselves to needing to be able to paint those doors. I know the owner's preference is to paint it, but I don't think it's the end of the world to maintain a natural finish there.
Yeah, and I would say, just to continue that point, I think my opinion about these kinds of design projects is that it's obvious it's a 21st century inhabitant in the house. So there are some very contemporary activities going on. So, we don't want to be too draconian with our adherence to the original fabric, but it's nice to really have a very harmonious kind of intervention, if you will, even at that scale. So I mean, I personally won't, lie down in front of the bulldozer over this one, but some of my fellow commissioners might. All right, let me just go around one more time. Since this is a big, important project, I'm just going to go back around to the commissioners. Abby, any final thoughts here for this evening?
Well, I assume our intent is to continue the application.
I think we are going to have to continue one more meeting because there are a number of open questions. I do want to ask, hang on just a second. Let me just ask the homeowner and I know Jeff Adams is here. Are there deadlines that we're up against here in terms of construction, procurement? Are there things that really need to get ordered now? In other words, sometimes we've done these sort of preliminary approvals of pieces, or would you rather just wait and do the whole thing at once? I guess I'm looking at maybe Liam and Sven. What do you think?
Well, surely I would defer to the folks that we're working with, and that would have to be subject to discussion. But any any potential for expediting pieces of the project, conditional approvals, I think could only help the timeline. We mentioned this morning we're in a rental apartment, and we're yearning for some elbow room. So certainly we're anxious to get moving on this project, which we know and are very certain will take a long time to begin with. So any efforts to sort of expedite our timeline would be appreciated for sure.
Okay, great, thank you. Sorry, Abby, I interrupted you.
No, so I think in terms of what would be helpful for me to see next time would be a rendering of the elevation of the house with the retaining wall and the grade change. I think that's been raised by a couple of people. If you want to include the greenhouse on this application as opposed to a separate application, designed for the greenhouse, I'd like to see, and I think other commissioners would agree, some possible alternative designs for the stone wall or fencing. Just because I think the general consensus is that the current design feels a bit modern. So some other iterations of that. I think in terms of like deliverables to us, that's all I can think of. The only other question I had is just in the next iteration, if you can note any external mechanicals that might be visible. They're probably not, but sometimes we end up with, just by convenience, all the compressors have to be here. And if they're going to be visible, we just want to know so we can talk about screening and that type of thing. But other than that, I think that's the focus of what we want to discuss next time. But if anyone else has something they'd like to add to that list.
Thank you, Abby. Let me just go around real quick. Catherine, any follow-up comments?
I think other than what Abby's already laid forth, I don't really think I have any additional things that I would be looking to see, but those elements would be helpful next time.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Nia?
I would just like to clarify the requested rendering for the right side of the house, if it could possibly be done from the viewpoint of the furthest right-hand corner of the original property. So including that strip that, to the right of that strip that will become the driveway of the house out back. If possible, please.
All right, thank you, Nia. Melinda?
I have nothing to add.
Thank you. You get the award for brevity this evening. Dennis?
I think nothing's changed from my point of view, and that is I'm definitely against destroying original fabric and putting the windows in. I don't see that that's necessary. I think it's important to keep the doors like they are. Want to know more about the windows? I already said that. Paint colors seem fine to me. And the stone wall, I'm definitely against the stone wall. And I think that fencing is the better alternative if you don't think you can keep the current hedging that is there. There aren't any stone walls. I drove around the whole area. There aren't any in the downtown area at all, except for the one that Peter pointed out, which is the ugliest stone walls ever built at Concord Academy. So I just think it's inappropriate.
That's actually not Concord Academy.
It isn't Concord Academy?
No,
you sure?
Well, right across the street.
Yeah,
well, Don Kingman's here, so we're gonna have to ask him later.
Anyway, those are my comments.
All right, thank you. Paul, any thoughts?
I'm of a contrary view about the wall. I think the wall will really define the property and make it look even more beautiful. So I'm fine with a wall as opposed to the privet hedge. I think the issue is the nature of the wall and the cosmetics of it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I do think we're going to have to go one more meeting, just 2 weeks, which is the 17th. And if we could, I think it really comes down to these 3 or 4 things. I think I think alternatives to the Stonewall, because frankly, Paul, I buy Tom your argument that it opens up the view to the house. I actually really like that idea. I think it's the physical rendering of the stone that everybody's struggling with a little bit. So some alternatives there would be terrific. The greenhouse, I don't think is going to be a big deal, but we should probably see it if it's going to be visible. And to that point, Abby, thank you for making the point about any exterior mechanicals, which would include any vents coming through the roof that might be visible from the public way if there are, or coming out the side, if there are side vents or louvers, that would be good to know. And then the retaining wall, I suppose the view, just to see a little bit better what that looks like. Does that seem reasonable to ask for in a couple of weeks? I think the submission deadline is what, for the 17th? Heather, are we flexible-ish?
Yeah, we're flexible on when they can get it to us.
Okay.
But the sooner the better, so you guys have time to look at it before.
Yeah, I think that would be good because then folks could digest it, and then I think we could have a much shorter discussion the next time. I don't think this is going to require another site visit, although that was fun. But I think if you can show us the 3 or 4 things we've asked for there, a couple of options, maybe a couple of views, it'll kind of iron out our questions. Does that make sense to the applicant team here?
Absolutely. Yep. We will. We'll definitely take another look at these items, and we'll come back in 2 weeks and hopefully show you guys everything we need there. Like I said, I think we've got a good list of 3 to 4 things that are key to the commission, and we're certainly open to working with you on those and coming to a good solution.
All right, and I do want to emphasize again, I think it's clear the commission really likes this project a lot and just wants to make sure we do it right, because it's a big, important, beautiful house in town, and our names are going to be on the application when we sign it. So there you go. We're gonna get all the slings and arrows at the cocktail hours for the next 20 years. All right, so 2 weeks is the 17th. I think we're going to be in person at Kai's Road, although Heather, I think we'll have to play that by ear after town meeting on the 13th.
So it's possible it'll be in person or on Zoom, so stay tuned.
And I know, Abby, you can't make it if it's in person, correct?
I will not be fully vaccinated until a few days later, so I won't be able to be in person.
Okay, and that may be another reason to delay the meeting a little bit. All right, well, I want to thank Liam and Suen and Jake and Mike and Tom for coming tonight, and neighbors and friends. Thank you all for helping us guide this process and make this a beautiful project in the center of Concord.
So I make a motion that we continue the application for 1 Sudbury Road to our meeting scheduled for June 17th.
Could I get a second? Second. All in favor? I'm just going to do a roll call. Abby?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. All right. Thank you, team.
Thank you, Peter.
Great work. And thank you again to the homeowner and the architects and the designers.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you soon.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Have a good evening. All right. Thank you all. So that was our one continued hearing. So let's move right along to our first new public hearing. This is 29 Main Street, Concord Square Trust. This is in the Main Street district to replace some windows with tempered glass and a silicon joint to match what was recently approved at Camelo's. And I'm not sure who's presenting here tonight.
So the applicant could not make it tonight. I told her that we would review it, and if there are questions that I can't answer, then we'll have to continue it.
Okay. Do you want to put it up on the old screeneroo? Oh, you're muted, Heather. Heather, can't hear you.
There we go. So I believe this is the storefront that they're looking to replace the windows.
Okay.
What I'm unclear on, because she said she would like them to match the windows at Camelo's. Oh my gosh.
Right, and those were butt glazed with a silicon joint.
Right.
So where's the seam, I guess is the question.
Right. So that's what I'm wondering, like, are they planning on getting rid of this trim or?
Well, is there a seam in that big piece of glass? They may be thinking of breaking it into two pieces or something. Or are those just large, the big plate glass, is that single plates?
I can't tell from Google Street View, and she didn't submit photos.
Okay, but I guess that would be my question is, are you looking to just replace those pieces in kind, in which case you don't even need to come before us. But if you're changing that plate glass to two pieces or three pieces, that's something we'd want to look at. Does that make sense, Heather?
Right.
Let me see if any of the commissioners have any questions. Let's go around real quick. Abby.
Did we approve a safety film for the Camelo's windows?
Yes.
Okay. That was my only question. Yeah, I'm not really clear on what they want to do.
Catherine? Same.
Yeah, my feeling is until we know exactly what we're really looking at, it's hard to know what the decision should be. So you know, I would say if they can maintain the single plate of glass, that would, you know, and it's safe and stable, that would be preferable. But if safety and stability is an issue and they do in fact want to have additional panes with the seams, then you know, obviously that would be good to know if that's the concern.
Thanks, Catherine. Nia, any thoughts?
Yeah, I just think we need more information. I don't think we can proceed without it.
Okay, Melinda?
I don't see how we can make a decision until we see more.
Okay. Dennis?
I agree with everything that's been said. We need more information.
Right, and Paul?
Nothing to add.
Nothing to add. So I think we need a continuance, Heather. It sounds like there are enough questions.
I make a motion that we continue the application for 29 Main Street to our June 17th meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Abby?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Okay, thank you. Heather, if that would be that clear enough to go back? Okay, terrific. All right, our next one, Billy Crosby, we haven't seen you in a while. How have you been? Yup, you're muted though. I'm just going to keep reading. 10 Walden Street. This is to install signage and paint doors. This is...
Hi.
Hi, Billy. How are you?
I'm doing good. I just didn't know how to unmute it, so here I am.
Nice to see you.
All
right, so this is this is a 24 by 36 double blade sign. And Heather, would you mind? There you go. So this is at the corner here. Maybe just walk us through it.
Yep, Heather or me?
You, if you could, please.
Yep. So this is from across the street, and it was a formally approved sign, and Jack and Toba is now taking the place of where Montague's was, and wants to put a sign in the middle of the. There's a sign that's for the coffee shop coming off the alley, and then so they want to put the sign in the middle between that and the bay window. And it's her same sign, same size, 2 by 3, 6 square feet, with a different bracket because she didn't own the bracket that was on her building across the street. So just a typical bracket, very similar to 3 or 4 of the other ones we've used in town and that have been approved, and 10 feet up in the air. And I think the original application had a flat wall sign, and then she said she's waiting on the flat wall sign for period. Oh, there it is. So she's more concerned about getting her sign up because I think she's open, and then she's going to wait and then resubmit for the flat wall sign whenever she can or whenever she's ready to do it. I think period is going to redo something to the face of the building for her first, just that header because it's all rusted and banged up. So they'd probably be coming to you first. And then she's doing the red, wanted to do a red door in the front and the back. Heritage
looks very nice and red. Okay. And the sign, it's a double blade Are there specs on it, Billy, somewhere?
Yeah, it's actually a 2x3 sign. I think it's not. I have it. I actually have it.
4x36. Yeah.
Should I want me to pull out in front? I have it here. It's the original sign from across the street.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's the same.
We took it down for her, and then we're just touching it up a little bit, but it's exactly the same sign that was approved across the street.
Sorry, I thought you were going to make a new one.
No.
Okay. I think I know what you're up to here. So let me go around and ask folks what they think. I'll go in the same order. Abby?
Yeah, if it's the blade sign and the paint in the door, I have no objection. And she's coming back, I guess, for the wall sign. So that's fine with me. And I assume there's no lighting on the sign.
No, not yet. I don't think she's planning on it either, but
then I have no objection to those two changes.
Thanks.
Okay, Catherine, what do you think?
I have no objections at all.
All right, thank you. Nia?
No objection.
Melinda?
No objections?
Dennis?
Fine with me.
Paul?
I concur with all of the comments.
Man, you guys are way too agreeable tonight. All right, so let's see if there's any public comment on the sign at 10 Walden Street. Is there any public comment on that sign? I'm looking around the screen. I don't see any raised hands. All right, I don't see a sign, so I think a hand. So I would look forward to a motion from the commission.
I make a motion that we approve the application for 10 Walden Street for a new blade sign to be installed and for the front and rear doors to be painted heritage red, excluding the application for a wall sign, which will be resubmitted at a later date.
And second. All right, I'm going to go around either aye or no. I'm not going to make you say nay if you don't like it. Abby?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
You know, I have to say with a ponytail, it's nice to hear people saying aye. It starts to make me feel very 19th century. And I'm an aye as well. All right, so that you are approved, Billy. Thank you for the presentation.
Okay.
And you're good to go. And we want to just roll on to the next one, 91 Main Street. You're still on the hook here. This is a new sign, I believe, a 21.5 by 33.5 by inch-and-a-half carved double-sided blade sign, and a 10-foot by 11, it's an 11.5-inch directory slat. Maybe if you could describe it to us, please.
So it's where the "Be Well, Be Here" sign was before. On the same bracket, and it's the same exact size. So it's the 6 square feet or under 6 square feet. That's we didn't design it, but that's their logo. And the flat wall sign Directories, I'm pretty sure they've been, as we were following, I thought a couple times ago we didn't need a picture of that, which I don't think I put in there, but Billy, do we have a picture of that?
Is it 10 feet by 11.5 inches?
It's the slats that are all exactly the same size. It's just the listing that's on the wall, and then and they're all exactly the same. Like we were using one of the blanks that left, and we just matched the size of it, and then it's the exact same thing. So
gotcha.
I did have a picture of it.
Okay, there it is. Yeah, I see. I didn't realize they were 10 feet long. So where is it in the
second one down is the "Be Here, Be Well, Be Here" sign. So it would be right there. And let me see if I don't think we had done a drawing for it, only because I thought at some point if it was at the same size, we didn't have to. So I don't know if I have a drawing for that.
Well, we may want to see something just in case it's like if it's all red or something, it might look a little strange. But let me just, so I think while you're looking for that, Billy, let me go around to the head. Let me go around. Abby, what do you think?
I have no objection to the blade sign. I would like to see what the lettering and font and color is on the wall side, the directory sign.
Okay, thank you. Catherine?
I agree. I think, the red is obviously a very strong color, but it's their colors, it's their brand. So I have no problem at all with the blade sign, but I too would certainly prefer if the wall sign could be white and more consistent with the other signs already on the building.
Thank you, Catherine. Mia?
I have no issue with the blade sign, and I agree we need to see the slat. We did have one nasty surprise a while ago where the font was completely out of scale with the other slats. So it looked, looked awful. So
yeah. All right.
Thank you, Billy.
Yeah.
Melinda?
I just second what's been said.
Nothing there.
On both.
Okay, thank you. Dennis?
I don't have any problem with any of it.
Okay, Paul?
Nothing to add, Mr. Chairman.
Billy, any luck with a drawing? Or
yeah, so my guy's pulling it up. He's going to do a printout of it. So I don't know if I can attach it in, but I can either hold it up or I think Heather might have put me on to the 1780 for a reduction in size. Is that, Heather, is that happening?
Yes.
So can we do that first and then I'll just have a printout of the other one or no?
That's under other business. So we
Okay.
have to wait till the end.
Can you put it on your screen?
Hold it up. You can
I hold this up? Will that?
Actually, this kind of works. Maybe a little higher though. A little higher. So there, I think folks can see the sign there. I suppose it's always helpful to see it in context, but I think you can use your imagination. Do we need to see this as a follow-up submission?
I just had a question. What does it say underneath?
Hold on one second.
Let me pull open
all the tiny words.
What are all the tiny words? Those different locations?
Chiropractic, physical therapy, acupuncture, massage. It's kind of like just bullet points of his services that he's giving there. Nothing kind of falling out of a normal.
Don't know the salad.
Yeah. Hold on. I'm gonna pull open though real quick.
You think too much text, Abby? Is that what you're?
Yeah, I think because the other signs are really just a business name. I think in keeping with that, this should be a business name. I think having all of that very text, it totally changes.
Yeah.
All of them don't. None of those. I mean, other than "Be Well, Be Here," which is what's being replaced, nothing has a logo, nothing has color, and nothing has a secondary text to it.
Right. And I just think because Be Well, Be Here was approved that they thought they could have the logo in there. So I think that's why we did it. So, or they wanted it.
Yeah, in my mind, just for consistency's sake, I'd rather see it in black and white and have the business name. I'm more amenable to a logo, but the secondary text, I think, is just, it's a bit overkill.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I can, if we continue it, I can just do a sketch of what it would look like in black and white without the text below.
And there's no detriment to continuing for the applicant because the blade sign's already installed, correct?
Right. Yeah. So I'm just saying I can just get approval on what the look would be and switch it out.
You mean in the continued hearing?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm just saying I'm happy to. Somehow we blew it, and then in the middle of it, I didn't know until Paul called me that the paperwork and or I would have come back 6 months ago because I thought it was a go. So my guys installed it, and then I hadn't heard anything about it until the new building inspector called me and said, "What's going on?" So anyway,
I blame everything like that for the last year on COVID. So you get
I didn't even see it. I didn't see
one mulligan.
I wasn't gonna. The locust I was gonna bring up, but other than that.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we could continue it and see a sketch of the black and white.
Take that out. Yes, that would be good. And he's doing it right now, but I'll come back.
No live time designing. Our hourly rate is too high.
I know. I know, that's why I said that. So,
I'm just kidding.
No, it's
all
good.
right. Well, thank you, Billy. I think, let me just see if there's any public comment on the application at 207 Main Street. Sorry, not 207 Main Street. That's our next one. This is 91 Main Street. Any public comment? I don't see any, so I think a motion would be appreciated.
I make a motion that we continue the application for 91 Main Street to the June 17th meeting.
Second.
All right, let's see how we vote. Abby?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Mia?
Aye.
Linda?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Paul? And I'm an aye as well. So we're continuing to the 17th. And thank you, Billy. I think, and you'll get some kind of notification whether or not it's going to be in person or not.
That was great. Yep. Thank
And if
you.
the drawing's done tonight, just send it to Heather, and we'll have 2 weeks to look at it.
It's right here. Bottom one.
Oh yeah. Okay. Just submit that, and we'll
talk about it next meeting. That'd be great. Yep. And I think we're just doing something for 1780. If I'm next, I don't know if I'm that. You got more stuff going on.
We're going to skip over. We'll skip to that in a minute.
All right. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you, Billy. All right, Don. I see you've appeared. This is our next application, 207 Main Street in the Main Street District at Concord Academy. This is to a certificate to remove, alter, replace stairways and handrails, replace a brick walkway, steps, and install a concrete sidewalk from Academy Lane to Belknap Street. Welcome, Don, and maybe just walk us through the application, if you would, sir.
Yeah, so one thing is Belknap House, the old Belknap House, is our current admissions building. And so we probably have 2,000 thereabouts visitors coming there. And in the winter months, that sidewalk on the north side doesn't get any sun, and you can see through the photos on the bottom, it's relatively treacherous. And so what we'd like to try to do is propose that we would install a concrete sidewalk to go from Belknap Street to Academy Lane to the town engineering standards. It would be similar to what is on the opposite side of Main Street, on the south side of the main part of campus. Part of this also involves, there's an old stairway that goes down almost directly across from the Belknap House entrance, and remove those steps because it's not ADA compliant, and really improve that from a safety standpoint. And then you can see in the upper right-hand corner the existing conditions where the handrail is 2/3 in or 3/4 in, 1/4 out of the edge. We'd like to install 2 new handrails, and that is similar to what you have approved in the past at on the campus itself. Then install those bricks with Endicott pavers, which is another material that you have approved in the previous times here, both at Bradford House, at the Aloyan Circle. Reset that so it balances, and then clean up the landscaping along the front side of that building, and then remove a little bit of the asphalt, if you will, that is close to the building to narrow that aperture. And that's pretty much the extent. And then there's some landscaping that goes in there. So really try to present a good first impression to prospective students and their families as they come, and also give a safe way of transit that would go down to the main crosswalk, which is at Academy and Main Street, by doing an asphalt, by doing concrete. Why do we want to do concrete? Because in the wintertime, it's almost impossible for us to maintain that, and it's treacherous. And if we have a firm base of concrete, it's easier for us to maintain that along with the town. We've had conversations with town DPW about this, and they have no issues with this, but they wanted to make sure that we had run this by the neighbors. There's one abutter, and I went to that individual's residence, and they weren't there, but I left a package with a letter indicating what we were doing and when this hearing was going to happen.
All right, thank you, Don. So the only thing I can see, so that maybe the drawing just before that, if I could ask a quick question, to the right there. So there's I don't really remember, there's existing steps down to the street and a little handrail, is that right?
Yeah, so back in the day, that was a crosswalk, but it is not currently an ADA compatible crosswalk, and the town is not interested in investing in that. So I would rather, from a safety standpoint, not entice people to think they could cross there, to use the crosswalk that we have at the Academy Lane Main Street intersection.
So are they going to, is there a painted crosswalk there now?
There's not a painted crosswalk, but there are steps, there's granite steps that are in that embankment, so to speak, as you get down to the street level with a handrail. We'd like to remove that so people don't think that's really how one should cross Main Street.
Okay, yeah, it's a safety issue, okay. Okay, I think I've got a pretty clear idea what's going on here. Let me see what the commission says. Abby, what do you think?
I have no objection. I walk that sidewalk daily in the winter, and it's truly treacherous. So I completely understand. You know, we never really love to see more concrete, but it's such a safety hazard along that side. It's impassable most of kind of January, February, and March. And all the other changes I think are entirely appropriate. So no objection.
Thank you, Catherine. Oh, there you go, muted. Oh, you're still muted. Maybe Heather, have you muted Catherine by accident? No. There you are. There you are. Yeah.
Sorry, technical difficulties. No, I have no objections. I think the new brick walkway and the symmetrical railings and the whole plan would be a great improvement. I think it would look very good.
Terrific. Thank you, Nia.
I agree. I hate concrete, but this makes total sense. I, like Abby, walk this all the time, and in the winter it is truly deadly. And I think removing the steps on that little steep slope down to the street is definitely the way to go. That is really deadly.
Thank you, Nia. You know, concrete can be nice, Nia. It's not all terrible.
Okay.
Some of it's okay. All right, Melinda, thank you, Nia.
I think it'll be a gift to the entire town, not just to the Academy, to have that sidewalk put in. And I think I'm a little surprised you haven't done it before now, to tell you the truth. But anyways, I think it's fine.
Okay, thank you. Dennis.
Nothing to add at this point.
Okay, thank you. Paul, anything to add?
No, nothing.
Okay. Is there any public comment on this application at 207 Main Street to install step and so sidewalks, step and new handrails and do some landscaping? I see nothing but tumbleweeds. All right, back to the commission. Could I get a motion, please?
I make a motion that we approve the application for 207 Main Street as submitted.
Second.
All right, let's go around. How are you voting? Abby?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
And Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Don, thank you as usual for such a complete application, and good luck getting it done.
Is that your stone wall? That ugly stone wall? Does that belong to you?
Oh, the one with the stones are embedded into the concrete?
Yes.
Yeah, that's at Wheeler House. That's
Wheeler House.
Ugly looking stone wall. That's a technical term, by the way.
Yeah, it's a weird wall, but that was
it's probably historic now.
There's a similar wall to that on the Shattuck Hill. I don't know if the two are at the same time. It's much bigger at Shattuck.
Yep.
But I've noticed a similarity.
It's a taller one. It's the Shattuck one's much taller.
Yes. Right at the top.
Yeah, exactly. Right around the old reservoir there.
The beehive wall.
Seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah.
We will not be replicating that at any time in the future.
Glad
Thank
to hear
you, Don. Now you're on. You've been recorded. You're on tape now.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Don.
Yeah. Bye.
All right. Thank you, folks. That was our last new application. So we're on to other business. And let me see. I don't have the agenda right in front of me, do I? Oh, well, we have Mark here. Mark Giddings, our friend and colleague and former member, and now overseeing the work at 70 Monument Square. And thank you, Mark, for that site visit this morning. And I think everyone was there.
No, I wasn't.
No, Melinda wasn't there.
So,
so go ahead, Mark.
It was nice to see you all this morning. So I'm glad we could make it. Two things. You know, I showed you a sample of the hardy board and the paint that we want to use on the back of the building. That's the first point.
Yeah.
So
I think we could, unless there are any objections to that, I think well, let me just go around real quick.
Yeah, let's do it one at a time. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Abby, any comments on the colors?
No objection.
Catherine?
No objection.
Nia?
No objection.
Dennis?
No objection.
And Paul? No objection,
No,
and I
no
didn't have any
comments.
either. And Melinda, you don't mind if I skip you? You weren't there. It's a color match issue. Okay, so
Okay,
why don't
that's
we?
fine. Thank you for that. Okay,
Yeah.
so then move on to the trees.
Yeah.
What did everybody think? Okay.
Let's go around real quick. Abby, what did you think?
So I think it's perfectly reasonable to remove the trees. I think they are going to present a maintenance issue and a potential hazard. I think there needs to be more than one 4-inch caliper maple planted. I think they can be planted.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, and further, I think they can be planted further in from or further away from the driveway.
Yeah, I think so
closer
too.
to the property line.
Right, right.
But I think there needs to be a series of trees there. I don't have a specific number in mind. I know Nia probably does.
Well, let me ask you a question. You know, if you look at
I think there's probably a compromise between A and B. But I think we need a couple trees, and that will solve the problem. But I think taking down the pines is.
So let's talk about that. If you look at that in a 4-inch diameter maple, which is what we're talking about, is 20 to 22 feet tall. Nia, what's the spread on that? Okay, because that's really what it's about, is how you position those from a distance standpoint to determine, you know, whether we put 2 or 3 in there. We'll do whatever we need to do to make that right. Okay.
You know what, Mark? Would you mind if we just go around first and then get into the specifics?
Sure, that's fine.
All right, let me skip back to Catherine. Any thoughts, Catherine?
I basically agree with what's already been said. I mean, I think, you know, it's always a shame when big, beautiful trees have to be removed, but I completely understand in the context of being close to the building and the, you know, inherent shallowness of the roots of the white pines, that it's a safety issue. But I do think there's sort of a really great opportunity just as far as where the property line is for planting, you know, more than one tree. And some really nice screening could be created by you know, at least a couple of trees. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. All right, Nia, back to you.
I wondered if we could pull up the proposed site plan, if possible, please.
Is that easy to do, Heather?
Okay, if it's going to be hard for people to see on this, but if one of the things that I was also aware of is there's new light posts going in. Is that correct, Mark? There's one down to the far left, right where, see where it says new light pole, right where there's a bend down where the trees are coming out. You know, there's one right there, Heather, that you've got your pointer on, and then go left from there. Keep going left, right there. There's a second one there. So I was thinking ideally, particularly the one that Heather's pointing to at the moment, that is all in the area that we're trying to screen from the Liberty Bell area on Main Street. People can certainly disagree with me, but it's my experience that if you put in a 4-inch caliper tree, it sits there and it's miserable for 5 years, just trying to adjust to the shock. And often you will have much more success with smaller trees that after 5 years will be the same size as the 5-inch caliper tree, but in fact will be healthier and ready to move quickly. My suggestion, I don't know whether the rest of the commissioners and you, Mark, are familiar with the white fir that was planted on Monument Square on the little roundabout area where the trough is. You know, that is the Christmas, that is lit up for the holiday season.
Right.
Big.
That's a great tree. It is full all the way to the bottom, doesn't lose its lower limbs, is not too wide. And I would suggest a combination of sugar maples and maybe a couple of those intermixed, not lined up in a row, but you know, a grouping of trees that would look more naturalistic and combine both deciduous and evergreen. You asked about how wide a sugar maple is that's a 4-inch caliber. And I know this sounds technical, but it totally depends on the variety of the tree. You know, certain name varieties are taller and narrower, others are wider. So, the answer is it depends. But that would be my suggestion, a minimum of 5 trees, smaller, you know, 2.5-inch caliper on the deciduous, maybe 6 to 7 foot on an evergreen. And I think you do a better job screening with a grouping.
Okay, thank you, Nia. Melinda, any thoughts?
I wasn't there to see this.
Oh, yes, right, sorry. I didn't mean to. Dennis.
I agree with what Nia is saying. I think she's on the right track. I think they would work out. And if at some point you find this too crowded, you do what we all do, you cut out a tree. But I think that for the health of the trees and the screening, her plan is a good one.
Thank you, Dennis. Paul, any thoughts?
I thought the mission tonight was to make the decision whether to remove trees. Do we have the province to dictate what should be planted, as opposed to considering a plan from the applicant after the building is built or whenever they plan to plant? I'm just a little distressed that getting down to the caliper of the trees and the particular type. It just seems to me that's the applicant gets some choices here, I would think. I just don't agree that we should be doing that at this juncture.
The problem is, Paul, we need to get the trees out of there so we can work on the driveway and things like that.
Right. I understand that, but that's what I thought the application was all about tonight. Whether you can remove the trees, I'm in total agreement, as others have said, with removing the trees.
Yeah, I think what the commission's discussing is whether or not you approve the removal of trees with a condition that a certain amount of trees of a certain type are planted.
Because originally, so I think when we approved the application, we approved removing a certain number of the trees with 2 of the larger trees being maintained for screening purposes. And so now that there's a change to that and those need to be removed, because they were for screening purposes, now we're going to discuss a replacement for that screening. And so that's within our purview. If we have plantings that are for screening purposes, then that's within our purview.
Yeah, I get that we can create a condition by which there needs to be screening. Can we then pick out the plants, the trees, the caliper you know, whether they're deciduous or not. I mean, I
think
bothers me, but
I think what, if I may, I think what we're doing is we're giving the applicant some ideas. You're going to have to come back with a record drawing, I think.
All right.
Making suggestions.
I certainly, these are just my personal suggestions. I'm by no means saying it has to be this tree or that tree. This is just what I would recommend. It does not mean that this is carved in stone.
yeah, well, with that clarification, I'm fine with it. I mean,
bless you.
Suggestions can be helpful here, I'm sure.
All right. Did I get everybody? We're going around the room here, right? I just a little lost where I am. It's getting late. Okay. Is there any public comment, or we asked for public comment because we're going to make a motion, correct? For the few remaining people in this meeting, is there any comment? Billy, Jane, any comment? No. All right. I think we can look for a motion here. This is to amend the certificate as to both approve the colors of the hardy board and to approve the proposed landscape plan with the understanding that there'll be a follow-up with a final layout for review. Does that make sense? I can't make that motion though.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the amendment to the certificate for 15 Monument Street, sorry, what's the address?
70.
70?
Yeah.
70 Monument Square for the hardy board and trim color, the removal of 2 trees with the condition that the applicant return to us with a landscape plan subject to our approval.
Yeah, go ahead. I think we need a second.
I'll second. Is it only 2 trees though?
We approved the removal of the other trees already.
Okay.
I
second.
3. 2, 4, there's 7 there. 3.
3.
There's 3 more trees, right?
Sorry, 3 more trees.
Okay. With that amendment to the amendment, I'll second.
Amendment squared. Abby, how do you vote?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
You get to vote anyway. Dennis?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much. Again, nice to see you.
Yeah, I got a nice tour of the building from Gary Santini, by the way.
Good. He's a nice guy.
He's a really good guy.
It's a hell of a project. I mean, it's way bigger than what everybody thought it was going to be. So anyways.
I was sorry to hear some of his stories.
Thank you very much. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mark. See you soon.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Moving right along, we have, well, since Billy's here, Billy, you're here for 44 Barrett's Mill Road. Is that right? Oh, I can't hear you. No.
He's here for a sign amendment.
15 Street.
Why don't we, can we skip over 44 Barrett's Mill and do this since Billy's right here?
Yeah, I don't think 44 Monument Street's here.
Oh, it says 44 Barrett's Mill Road on the.
I mean, that's what I meant. I don't think they're here.
Okay. All right. So we'll skip that one. And Billy, what's going on at 1780 Hub?
Yeah, we just want to put a huge red X over the sign. Is that all right?
Yeah, no problem. All in favor?
Yeah.
Now, it's just when the bracket got a better scale drawing, it was a little bit wide, and then Patrick McWhinney had got it passed, but I was strongly suggesting that we went a little smaller only because it cuts into it's an awkward place where the brackets hit it, so we just came down a little bit in the scale, and then so I just wanted to see if that would be okay to make it smaller.
I personally have no objection. Abby?
No objection.
Catherine?
No objection.
Nia?
No objection.
Melinda?
No objection.
Dennis?
Smaller is always better.
Yeah.
And Paul?
No objection.
Is there any public comment from Jane or Stefan? I see Stefan Bader's here on the proposal at the 1780 house for a sign replacement? Seeing none, I would look for a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the amendment to the certificate for 15 Monument Street to reduce the size of the blade sign.
Second.
Let's see, go around. How do you vote? Abby?
Aye.
Catherine?
Aye.
Nia?
Aye.
Melinda?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. I'm going to miss saying your names when we go back to just raising our hands. So you're approved, Billy. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You bet. All right. Have a good evening.
Well,
All right. 44 Barracks Mill Road is not here, correct, Heather? Do we need to?
I don't see anyone here.
Okay. Should we? Solar panels, paving. Okay. I guess we'll keep moving along. The only other things I have are expanding the historic districts. We have town meeting coming up in a week from Sunday. Heather has done a very nice job with presentation material. I've reviewed it. I guess I'm on the spot to come up to the microphone. And although I don't know, are we going to be in the consent calendar?
We're on the consent calendar, so
Okay.
hopefully there won't be any questions or concerns and it'll be easy.
Okay,
Fingers
I'll
crossed.
sit up front, but I would encourage you all to attend town meeting for the theatrics, if nothing else. There's always some fun. Right, Jane? And I don't have any update on Jenny Dugan. That's sort of in sleep mode, I think, let's say until after town meeting. I don't think we haven't been paying much attention to it. Has anybody heard anything one way or the other?
Sadly, no.
Yeah, I think, well, the one thing that came up was the George Dugan. We haven't heard anything about that plaque. Okay. Paul, I saw you over on Monument Square looking at the monument this morning. Just looked around the base. Jane, what were you going to say? Sorry.
I was just going to say, I think this is my last HDC meeting. And
oh man, we don't have any flowers or anything.
Oh God, that's okay.
Say brownies.
That's okay. Well, let's just do that virtual thing, and you can all say you did it.
Okay.
But my point is, I did talk to Tish at the Memorial Day events, and you know, I promised that I would alert Terry to be on top of this.
Okay.
Terry Ackerman's is the most likely chair. So
all right.
To make sure that it gets moved forward.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for those efforts. We're sorry to see you go back into the gallery, as it were, but we're going to expect you at every meeting still.
No, I'm in the gallery, and I'm actually going to be in a different town. So.
Oh, you're.
That's right. You moved to Carlisle, right?
I am actually talking to you from Carlisle amidst complete chaos. So.
Oh. In your house or in the town?
You're very funny, Peter.
I know. Sorry. Okay. And do we have any minutes to approve, Heather? I don't remember.
No.
Oh.
Heather,
sorry, guys, I didn't get them done.
That's all right. Don't say it that way. You're usually way more on the ball than we are. So, okay. Anything else on the agenda, or have I reached the dreadful end of our meeting together?
I don't know if there's just any public comment in general.
Is there any public comment in general? I think Billy's gone home. Jane, is there any public comment generally at the end of our meeting here? Don't see any. All right, well, I would look for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
And let's go around and vote. Abby.
Aye.
The motion. Catherine.
Aye.
Nia.
Aye.
Linda. Dennis.
Aye.
All. All right. Well, nice to see you all. We'll see you at town meeting, and then we'll see on the 17th if we're in person. I guess we'll hear Heather soon.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated when we hear something.
Okay, so iron your shirts, pull your socks out of the plastic bins, whatever it is we need to do. I can't wear t-shirts. All right, well, thank you all for your time and effort. I always appreciate seeing you and your work on behalf of the town. So
I just want to quickly thank Jane for all her support.
Yes, thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Much appreciated to have her attention.
Oh, hey, I fully intend to be in the audience at some point just to check in. You know, I'm thinking about windows, I'm thinking about chimneys, I'm thinking about paint colors,
signs,
walls, privet hedges.
Touche.
You know,
you know the drill.
Well, I pull ticks off of me. So
Jane, thank you for being such a great supporter.
Yeah, well, bye all. Enjoy.
Bye.
All right. Good night, all. Heather and Heather, thank you.
Good night, everyone.
See you soon.
Night.